Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. On Monday, we had the first in our webinar series, and we had Alex Rodin talk with us. Alex has been to Medellin for our 100 Steps program. Today, we have Ward Broom, and Ward has worked with us on international projects in Chile, but this is his first time talking with our friends in Medellin. And Ward comes with his own unique experiences in startup world. I'll ask Ward to introduce himself, but I do want to mention that Ward and Alex are both part of ATDC, that is the Advanced Technology Development Center. And I'll drop the web link in the chat in just a moment. ATDC is the incubator for Georgia. And our offices at Georgia Tech, Vivi and Julie and me, we work in the Center G building. Our offices are on the 4th floor, and ATDC is on the 2nd floor. So we see these people in the lobby, in the elevators, going out to the parking lot all the time. Ward, I'd like to turn it over to you. Thank you for joining us. And
Sure.
I think you have some slides to share.
I do. And assuming everybody is seeing what I have. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about my background and my experiences. And like Randy was saying, Alex and I work together at ATDC. I'll go into a few points just to emphasize a few things. And Alex had also touched on the last time in regards to customer discovery and getting your business going. So I'll touch on those and just have a couple of slides on ATDC as well. And then I'll stop. We'll have some questions. I've got some recommendations on a few books out there that I find very helpful as well that I'm happy to share. And a couple of learnings I'm happy to share, but I want to make sure that you guys have a chance to ask questions. So my background. So I'm a Georgia Tech guy. I have a technical background in mechanical engineering, a bachelor's and a master's with an emphasis on manufacturing. Back in the day, as you can tell from the years, I'm an old guy. And so in the day, some of my focus in manufacturing was on what they now call automation or Industry 4.0. They call it computer integrated manufacturing systems, or SIMS. And Georgia Tech loves its acronyms. And actually came back about 30 years later and got my executive MBA after I had exited my company. And it was really a great experience to be able to share my experiences with other professionals and get reintegrated into the startup community in Atlanta. But I started at Scientific Atlanta was my first job. And one thing I wanted to emphasize was, there's so many opportunities for learning about innovation in larger organizations. So even if you don't have a startup initially within your own organizations that you're a part of, try to be a part of any type of innovative opportunities there, volunteer for things. One thing I always tell people is, trust me, people may act like they are experts in certain areas, but really nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody knows what they're talking about. And so, don't be afraid to get involved in things. And Scientific Atlanta was a great starting point because SA was actually one of the, I'll call it an incubator for many, many startups in the Atlanta area back in the day, very heavily involved in satellite communications and with Department of Defense stuff and that kind of thing. That was a great experience for me, and I met a lot of really cool people. And then me and two other guys, we took that experience and started a company called DMSI, or Design and Manufacturing Services, where we had some of our own products in satellite communications that we built and sold. And at the same time, we supported other startups with our experiences in product design and manufacturing. So Startups lots of times are looking for resources like that, and there are resources out there that can support you in your product development work, in your manufacturing work, and can help you out. So we did that for many, many years, learned a lot out of that organization. Um, and we figured out of that if we really wanted to scale, we ultimately needed to branch out. We needed a product line that we felt like was really scalable. So in 1995, we founded a company called IPA. So me and one of the other partners founded IPA. We had found a problem in healthcare, very odd problem. So sometimes the problems you find are not the problems that are you might think are super exciting, but they may be pain points that people are looking to solve. And we found this actually through one of our clients who had a solution. And picture a dry cleaner solution where you go into a big room and you have all the hanging garments moving all around. Well, we came up with a solution where the garments could be folded. So there's huge problems in healthcare all over the world, regardless of where you are, in the management of linens and the scrub suits that doctors wear. Really odd problem. Never thought I would be in laundry, but that's where we were. And so we came up with a solution, and we bootstrapped with our other companies. So instead of going out for investment, we decided, okay, we were going to kind of do this development work and run this in parallel with our other company for as long as we could until we got traction. So one lesson learned there is don't quit your day job for as long as you can until you get some traction out there. The thing we struggled with, we knew we could manufacture it, we knew we could design it. The thing we struggled with was finding the right sales and marketing team, because we had technical backgrounds, although we had customers with our other business. Selling into healthcare was very challenging. So we really needed some support, and we struggled with that for many years. We had some really negative or bad experiences there that I won't go into. But finally, we found the right partners, and they actually invested in the business in 2004. And at that point, we started to scale. They knew what they were doing in healthcare. So finding the right people within your organization, that's a really critical thing. And in 2005, we shut down DMSI and we fully focused on IPA because we had traction in the industry. And we grew that business in Duluth, Georgia. Ultimately sold to private equity in 2008. So we maintained some ownership in the company. We still had ownership. We ran the company for another 6 years, sold to a strategic where we lost all of our ownership at that point. So I was just an employee. And then in 2016, they waved their hand and said goodbye, sent me on my way. And I was out there trying to figure out what I was going to do. And that's when I figured out, hey, I really want to stay involved in startups, get involved at ATDC in Atlanta. And I went back and got my executive MBA, and the rest is kind of history. And the company, IPA, continues to operate. They've got about 150 employees. It's out in the Duluth area. And they're still very active. I think it's involved in about 1,500 hospitals around the US and internationally. So after that, like I said, I went to got my executive MBA. I also joined an angel investing group to get involved in startups and to learn about investing. And so have really enjoyed doing that through a group called the Atlanta Technology Angels. So I'm not a member of a venture capital group. I'm a member of an angel investing group, which typically looks at earlier stage startups than venture capital does. So we have a group of people, about 60 people in Atlanta, and it's been a really good organization for me to learn about the investing process and what to look for in startups. I also joined another startup, not as a co-founder, operationally as a COO. They had a really solid technology and had raised a lot of money, raised about $1.5 million. But the thing I learned when I got involved with that company, they had a great technology, They thought they had product market fit. They thought they had done customer discovery, but they really hadn't. And they didn't understand the process of how people would pay for the product. Okay. So it was really cool. It operated, it was a pill dispensing device about the size of a pack of cigarettes. And you had to use your fingerprint to dispense pills. And so it controlled how much you could take and monitored that. But they didn't have product market fit. Nobody wanted to pay for the device. So that company searched and searched. We kind of found product market fit, but that company is still around, but it never really got off the ground. So that remains to be seen. And then in 2019, I joined another company called Cathade, which is a medical device, has to do with catheters, intravenous catheters. Did that for about a year and a half. Had some board challenges there. So the lesson learned there was I did not come in as a co-founder there. The two co-founders did not want to be operational in the company. They wanted somebody to come in and run the company for them. And so, coming in as an outsider, there can always be some challenges there. I came in as their fractional CEO for about a year and a half, but it just didn't work out. It wasn't the right personality fit for me. And ultimately I stepped down from that. And then 2022 became a catalyst at ATDC. I've been a mentor at ATDC for about 5 or 6 years. Amazon Robotics came in and sponsored a vertical for robotics and automation, which I thought would be a really cool fit. And so I'm now there with ATDC and also have my hand in a couple of other startups. So continue to work with other startups, one called Interprep and one called Nemo Therapeutics, and both happen to be in the medical device area. So that's kind of, where I am in my career path. Have really enjoyed that. ATDC, just a couple of quick notes about that. As Brandy mentioned, is Georgia's technology incubator and accelerator. So we focus on startups that can help build the economy in the state of Georgia. Graduate companies, you can see some figures there, billion raised, 12 billion in state income. And we essentially help companies to learn through our coaching and launch, and also to scale and succeed. That's kind of our mantra, if you will. And as you can see, the one stat there, 90% of ATDC companies are in operation 5 years after they graduate. So lots of lessons learned. A couple of things that Alex had touched on the other day was about customer discovery. So I really wanted to emphasize a couple of points there. And one is, there's any product can be built. Okay, you can design anything. So anything you think about, because of the technology today, you can develop anything, build anything, whatever you want to do. The big question is should you build that? Okay, so can you really build a business around that, a sustainable business with that set of products and services? Because like the movie Field of Dreams, people do not come if you build it. Okay. And you guys, so many people out there who are trying to start products, have a great idea, fall in love with that product. But realistically, unless you have people who need that product to solve a problem that they really have, they are not going to come. So, and that's why products die. That's why the one company that I joined, the product has died. Not because we didn't build a great solution. We had a great solution. It was built, it was manufacturable, but we didn't find a big enough problem to solve a big enough customer problem. And we just could not attract enough customers. People weren't willing to pay for that particular service. That's where customer discovery comes in. It's not about your idea, not about your technology. It's all about the market. It's all about the problem and the buyer. And with customer discovery, you have to really understand that situation that they're in, the problem that they're having, what they're trying to, the reality they're dealing with every day, and how they're trying to solve a particular problem. And don't be afraid to pivot. Okay. So if you go out there and you do customer discovery and you figure out that, hey, you know what, people, this is not what people need. They need something else. Don't be afraid to pivot out there and change. So I'll stop talking right there, and I've got some other slides with some other resources and that kind of thing. But I'll just kind of open it up after that, Brandy and Vivian. We'll go from there.
Yes, please. We would like to invite the audience to ask questions. Please raise your hand, or if you prefer, you can write in the chat. I can translate for you as well. But we encourage you to participate and ask more questions.
I'll start with a question for you,
Sure.
Ward.
Sure.
How many entrepreneurs do you talk to in a week?
Oh goodness. Lots. And some of the entrepreneurs I talk to are ones that I have regular cadence with that we're actually coaching at ATDC. So, I would say up to maybe a couple a day at least. That we already have in the system. And then on top of that, people who are just trying to learn about ATDC and learn about what they need to do in order to get into ATDC. They're trying to learn what it means to be an entrepreneur, probably a couple of those a day as well. So people are always coming in and out, and that's why we're there, to help them out.
When you first talk to an entrepreneur and you hear them talk about their idea, can you immediately say, that's going to work, that's not going to work? Can you figure out who the winners are?
Well, as you get experience, you definitely know the questions and the things to look out for. And the first thing we try to drill down to is not so much focusing on the technology, but it's really focusing on what is the problem that they're solving out there, and how big of an opportunity is that? Have they thought through that? How much customer discovery have they done? Because if it's all about the technology, and you start hearing people talk about, what they think, what I think, then they really haven't gone out there and done the necessary customer discovery and really figured out if there's a problem or not in the marketplace. So yeah, you can kind of tell. But I like to give folks the benefit of the doubt and try to talk through things and give them the opportunity. If it's clear they haven't done the customer discovery though, then we certainly ask them to go out and do that and try to help coach them on how to go through that process.
Can you, can I ask one more question?
Yes, sure. Go ahead.
So this is a follow-up. So this is maybe a different way of asking the same question, Ward. And that is, okay, do you sometimes talk with an entrepreneur and you think this person is just not going to have success? They don't have the right attitude?
Absolutely. So, if one of the key things that we look for with entrepreneurs is coachability. And if the individual is not listening, and we try not to impose ourselves too much. It depends on the entrepreneur, but oftentimes it's very clear that the individual, again, is in love with their idea, in love with their product, the worst situation possible, and they're just not coachable. You know, they're just not going to listen. And if that's the case, then, you know, they're really not a very good candidate for our program for moving forward, you know, because we can, and I have had many situations where, you know, I've talked to folks, talked to them multiple times, and they're just not going to listen, you know. And so those are people that we're not going to allow to put into the program.
Thank you for that. Vivi, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Brandy. Here we have two hands on. Please, Andres, go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you. Can you hear me well?
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Thank you for these talks. It's a pleasure to be here. And it's a pleasure to see Brandy and Alex, and of course, Julie, and of course, all of you, Viviana. I remember you from 100 Steps program. I think I have a lot of questions, but I'm going to begin with what is the definition of product market fit? I have seen a lot of definitions. Sometimes I can notice that Be Unique, I work in Be Unique as a CEO. Sometimes I think I have product market fit. Sometimes it's like, with this definition of product market fit, I don't feel comfortable with. So what is like a proper product market fit definition? For example, some of the quantitative ways that I understand about product market fit is about unit economics. That unit economics must be like 3 times greater than, or 3 more or less, or 2 or 3, or more than 3. And sometimes I feel comfortable with this, but I think it depends on the kind of business model. We have a business model that is based on ads, on advertisement. So I think it takes longer in order to have bigger economic units. So I have a lot of questions with product market fit, but I want to hear like a proper definition in order to help me to understand better this definition.
So, you know, I think you're exactly right in that there are lots of different ways that people talk about product market fit that's out there. But I think for me, you know, the biggest indicator is when people actually are buying your product. Okay. So you have you've gone out, you've done customer discovery, and you have an MVP where you've gone out as part of that customer discovery, and people look at that and you've refined your MVP, and people are willing to pay for that MVP and actually have placed an order for you at that point. That for me is when you have product market fit. Okay. Now, the challenge at that point is to scale that. And, you know, you have to have more than one individual who has purchased your product. But, you know, a lot of people I hear come back and say, matter of fact, we have a couple of companies right now that we're talking to. And they say, well, we're supposed to be receiving an order, you know, in the next 2 months. You know, that order is coming. And my question to them is, okay, do you at least have a letter of intent for this person to purchase something along those lines? But yeah, I think when people are willing to pay for your product, that for me is the key definition.
Okay. Thank you, Ward. We have another person, Jose. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Well, hello. Can you listen to me?
Yes, yes, we can.
No. Okay. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Well, basically my question is like, what are those like critical abilities or maybe behaviors that nowadays entrepreneurs are missing or lacking in order to like really find success in what we are doing right now? So yeah, that's basically the question.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And, actually, let me do, I think I can, that sort of leads me into I'll put up a little slide here, another slide that I think you'll find helpful related to this. Can you see that?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So these are the things that I have, some of the things that I have learned from as far as entrepreneurs and, things that you need to be looking for, some of the characteristics. So, first of all, you need to be very passionate about your initiative. You have to be careful not to fall in love with your product, okay, and recognize it's not about you. It's not about your product. You're trying to solve somebody else's problem, so they will pay for your solution. But you do need to be passionate about what you're doing because there are, it is a journey out there. Bear in mind that my company, the second company that we co-founded in 1995, we did not get traction for 9 years. Okay. So it was a journey out there and we learned a lot through that process. Also, it's great to have a passionate partner, somebody you can lean on. Okay. You don't have to have a co-founder, but we certainly encourage and people to have co-founders because it's good to have someone that you can work with and talk to that can help you out along that journey. And then doing real customer discovery, we've already emphasized, and not asking friends, going out and looking for real problems from real people. People do not like to do customer discovery. That is the biggest downfall for startups is people do not like to do customer discovery. We've talked about the strong value proposition. We've talked about, Andre was talking about asking about product market fit. And making sure that this is a large, accessible market. You don't have to be the only one in the marketplace. Alex had talked about this before, but you do need to have something that your product. And many times, investors will use the term 10x better than anything that is out there. Okay, that's sort of a rule of thumb. And so you have to be careful about that, but you really do want to make sure that you can distinguish yourself from the other opportunities that are out there. Always pay attention to your cash. Cash is king. If you run out of cash, you don't have a business, which is why you got to have paying customers, which is why you have to have product market fit. We talked about coachability. And I always, when I talk to entrepreneurs, one of the things I talk about is don't quit your day job. It can be hard being an entrepreneur. You're working your day job, you are trying to develop this product at the same time. You can always go out, you can look for investment if you have a value proposition that investors are interested in looking at. But it's important that you really make sure you do that discovery and understand your marketplace and make sure you have that product market fit before you before you move on. So those are a couple of things I would throw out there. But those are the things that we look for at ATDC. Coachability, team, size of the marketplace, where you are with your MVP, those kind of things are all really important.
Thank you, Ward. Andres,
Okay.
do you have another question for Ward?
Yes, I have a lot of questions. So, but yeah, I have a follow-up question in regards with marketing. So for example, Unique right now, it has 180 businesses that pay for a subscription. So, and of course, we have subscriptions from 2021. So we have figured out the way to retain these customers. So we are comfortable with awareness, with acquisition, and with retention. But there is like a problem in this marketing or sales funnel, is that sometimes the gap between acquisition and activation is big. Why? Because sometimes we give a free trial to businesses, to beauty businesses, and they say that they are going to use the product. But at the end, they don't use it. We have a dashboard and we look for the behavior and quantitative data in order to look why. And they don't intend and they don't use the product. And we say, why they don't use the product? Why they don't give it a try? Because we know that this product is useful for them. Why? Because there are 180 businesses that rely on us. And of course, we have 80% retention rates. So what advice can you give me about how to create the habit or how to instill the product usage to people who say they are going to use the product, but at the end don't use it? Is kind of this activation gap. Do you have some suggestions?
Yeah, so, and I would love to get some other input from Alex on this as well. So, you know, because he's got a lot of background with SaaS products and that sort of thing. And you know, my first question to you is, are these customers that are not utilizing the product, are they paying for the product?
Yes.
And why do you think they're paying for the product?
We have different administrative, I would say that is administrative marketing tools, and they can have more control about their business. So I would say that, and they can have order. For example, we have a booking strategy, and it's for beauty businesses. For example, barber shops can receive an appointment, and they can approve it immediately, and it's automatic. So this is one of the landmark products that we have. So people are very engaged with this. So why? Because this create the metrics, this automates the process, and of course it engages in different strategies to retain their customers, their B2C customers.
So the people that are not fully utilizing all of the features and functions, are they still getting value from your product? Are they using some level of features of the product?
Yeah, this is, I think, kind of the problem, because we have a team that accompany beauty businesses to show the product and to give a free trial. So they say, okay, I'm going to try this product. And we say, okay, we are going to come here in 2 or 3 days and tell me your experience. We go there, and the beauty businesses that say, I don't like the application. We internally, we know that they didn't use the product because we have the quantitative data and we measure the behavior inside the application. And we say, but what did you try? And they say, no, I didn't have the time to try the application. So this is the gap that they, at the beginning, I think is because they don't want to say no to the salesperson, or maybe because they are shy. I know what is the best reason, but they say at the beginning, yes, I'm going to use it, but at the end, they don't use it. And I think this is one of the biggest gaps that we have. Why? Because, of course, they need to try to use the product. They need to understand the product. We make this effort to explain them, to have tutorials, etc. But this is like the gap.
Yeah, and I'll say one more thing, that I'll let Alex provide some input. You know, first of all, they may not be your ideal customer. Okay. And I think you need to learn and understand from them. And if you're able to get feedback from those customers, understand why not. Okay. But don't necessarily change what you're doing or change your product just for them. But if you end up hearing the same thing over and over again, it may be a product opportunity or a product feature that you can consider for down the road. But if 80% of the people that you're engaging are staying engaged, that's a pretty good percentage. But I'll let Alex chime in on this.
Good to see you, Andres. Yeah, agree with what Ward said. Customer discovery doesn't stop with, okay, I've launched a product now after talking to a lot of people. It continues with customers to understand why they aren't using it. As Ward noted, and this is key, don't go tailoring solutions just to try and get one customer to engage with it, because, and this happens a lot with startups, and it's totally fine. That first customer, you'll learn in time, is not your ideal customer moving forward. Plenty of startups that we work with have had to get rid of or ease out their first customer because they've come to learn in the market that that's not a good fit for their solution. I'm also a big believer in pricing in order to get customers to behave the way you want them to. So pricing things out in a way where they're paying for a whole bunch of usage. So you want them to then use it more to show they're getting value from it. But I think this sounds a bit more like they're not an ideal fit if they're not willing to engage with it. I don't know there's a ton you can do. And I know we got a bunch of questions piling up. So I'll kind of leave it there. But customer discovery doesn't stop once you've launched. Absolutely continue to ask them questions. Why are you or aren't you using it? What do you like? What don't you like? What would make sense? But you need to do that beyond more than one customer, to Ward's point, or else you'll find yourself creating custom solutions for one customer, and that's not a smart play.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you so much.
We had Juan Cifuentes. He had his hands up. I don't know, Juan, if you would like to ask your question.
Good morning, everyone. With the intervention by Alex, my question was solved. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Now we have Pablo. Pablo, please go ahead and mute yourself.
Thank you, Viviana. Good morning, Ward.
Good morning.
About achieving product market fit in USA, we are selling a software as a service product, okay? A solution, an artificial intelligence solution, and it can be sold digitally at all, completely digital sales, and we could use digital marketing, SEO, and other strategies, digital strategies for selling this intellectual property service, okay? Software as a service. But also because it is a software, it can also be sold using traditional channels like software resellers. My question is, do you have any idea about how to contact those traditional channels for selling a new software as a service solution in the USA market?
And I apologize, I'm not clear on the solution that you have again.
Okay, we have a digital person platform called NATI, Natural Intelligence, and these are artificial intelligence power avatars that can replace human people in repetitive tasks like customer service. It's like digital assistants, like chatbots. We want to sell this solution in the USA market. They are digital companions, and also they can help energy companies automating customer service tasks. And we want to sell this solution in the energy niche, energy segment in the USA market, but we don't know how to do it. So one approach is using traditional software selling channels. What do you think?
So a couple of things. One is, this is a very extensive conversation to have, but let me drill down a little bit into this and ask you a couple of questions. So you use the terminology, and this is really important to learn about customer discovery, is customers are people, okay? And you talk about traditional channels. And so tell me, who do you see as your target customer?
Okay, my target customer is a customer service leader who need to hire contact center and BPO centers, but is knowing or understanding that artificial intelligence and digital assistants can help them to provide customer service directly at a lower price than using contact center and BPO centers solutions.
Okay, so but you had mentioned energy. So why is energy part of your solution? Why is that such a big deal?
Because we have sold the solution to energy companies, And one strategy is to focus on this segment in order to be more effective.
Okay. And energy companies. And so how big is that market? In other words, how many energy companies are out there that are in your, within your target market?
Actually, are the utility companies, the companies that commercialize energy. And
Okay.
the segment is huge in the United States, and they are getting digitalized. I don't know
Okay.
how at this moment the numbers, but as you know, utilities are huge in the USA.
So, you need to, my recommendation there, and again, this is a very extensive conversation, and you need to engage with people who have sales and marketing expertise, beyond what I have in this particular marketplace. But my recommendation is that you really focus on narrow down that customer persona. Okay, so build a customer persona of who is it exactly that you're going after? How big are the and what types of organizations? Okay, how big are those organizations? Are these smaller utility companies? Is a particular utility you're going after? But really understand the market and focus on who you're trying to talk to, and then just go out and start talking to people. Try to make those contacts and do customer discovery, and understand. Don't go to them with your solution. Okay, talk to them about what their problem.
We have had the opportunity to talk to a lot of utility companies in South America in order to validate the need and adapt the solution to attain that need during 2 years now. So we have a good understanding of the problem, and we have adapted the solution, and we think we have achieved problem solution fit at this moment. So we want to proceed to make sales. So in that case, our obstacle or our difficulty is how to connect with resellers, with partners, with incubators, with commerce chambers in order to make business in the USA.
Yeah, so I again, I would not an area of my expertise, just to say that, but the key thing is to you can talk to connections, or if you have contacts in the US, you have advisors in the US, anything you can do to try to make contact with customers. If you have some initial targets, and Brandy has her hand raised, I'll let her, give her advice on that as well.
Yeah, Pablo, you may be interested in a soft landing program. And
yes,
Georgia,
I applied and I was accepted. Yes, I am in the process of becoming part of that program. I was with you in the 100 Steps Today's program, also as well with you, Brandy, and Alex and Viviana. And yes, but why that program can help me is connect to resellers and incubators and that kind of institutions.
Yeah, so the soft landing program is customer discovery. It's finding partners and finding customers in the United States. You and I should talk separately, Pablo.
Okay, Brandy. Okay, I will contact you by email. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thanks, Pablo.
Thank you, Ward.
Okay. Do we have more questions for one now?
I did see one more in the chat.
Oh,
and
okay. Yes, go ahead.
Maybe it says, what is the most common reason why entrepreneurs fail in early stages, and how can we avoid it?
So, it's a great question, and I think we have touched on that. There are, many reasons why companies fail. And just to reemphasize, the most common problem is that people fall in love with their idea and they don't do proper customer discovery. So, and I hate to keep coming back to that, but that's it. You know, that is the key thing. And then, you know, another, just to emphasize, you know, cash. So as companies operate, if they have gotten some traction in the marketplace, you know, depending on what you mean by early stage, but running out of cash, not properly managing your cash is another reason why startups fail. Without money, you cannot proceed. You may raise a lot of money, and I've seen companies, and I told you about the one company I was involved with. We raised 1.5 million, and we burnt through that money within a year. And after that, it was all about struggling to raise additional money to keep us going. So again, the problem was we had not found product market fit. We had not found a paying customer out there. So then we were in a bad spot where we had no cash, but we had to try to figure out, okay, who is going to be willing to pay for this? What is the market we can go after? So proper customer discovery and running out of cash.
Thank you, Ward. Andres, please go ahead.
I didn't want to monopolize the questions for the reason I was waiting for others to ask. This time, I want to know a little bit more about this role that you have experienced in as an angel investor, and of course, as raising money with your enterprise. You have the two perspectives. In the beginning, with Bionic, we didn't want to raise money. Right now, we are considering the option. Bionic is bootstrapped, of course. So we are considering the option. So what kind of advice can you give me about raising money? It's a hype. I think right now I am biased because everyone is raising money, and I say to myself, should I raise money in order to grow exponentially? So I have a lot of questions about this subject. And if the recommendation, of course, it depends on the situation and there are a lot of variables. But what about raising money? What are like the advantages or disadvantages? And in terms of, or in the case that you are going to raise money, how do you evaluate an startup? Of course, in a high level, because I know there are a lot of variables. Thank you.
Yeah, so again, really good question. You know, my recommendation always to entrepreneurs is, you know, the longer that if you can bootstrap and de-risk your product, so the more you can do to de-risk your product, the more investors you're going to attract down the road. And also the less dilution you will have in your ownership in the company, because it's very easy once you start raising money, you ultimately can lose a lot of control, or you can dilute yourself. So there are advantages and disadvantages. You know, when you are raising money, one of the disadvantages, again, is the dilution. Also, now you have people, you're no longer, it's not just you, okay, and your idea that you're passionate about. Now you're having to answer to other people who have actually written a check and are expecting a return on their money. Okay, so the dynamic changes very much there. There's a lot more pressure on you depending on the stage of investment that you're at. So the advantages are, however, you know, and this goes back to Pablo's question in regards to, you know, finding potential channels or finding potential customers. If you find the right investor, they're going to have those connections in the industry. They're going to be able to connect the dots and help you gain those potential customers out there. So a huge part of getting investors is they want you to succeed. So they are there to help you. and they're going to try to connect you with as many people and as many potential customers as you can in the marketplace. Same reason to have advisors as well. So another challenge with raising money is it takes a lot of time to do. And, you know, as Alex was saying a little while ago, you're always doing customer discovery. As CEO, technically, once you start raising, you're always raising as well. And, you know, you're trying to get to a cash flow positive situation, but it takes a lot of time to raise money and a lot of focus, you know, and again, the rule of thumb is for every 100 investors you talk to, you may get one to buy. Okay. So you're constantly pitching, refining your pitch, talking about your value proposition. At the same time, that process going through that helps you to think about what is your real value proposition? What is your business? And you'll get a lot of feedback on that as well. So, you know, there are advantages and disadvantages, but, you know, those are a few things that come to mind. And, you know, happy to talk more offline about that and, you know, about things that investors look for. You know, there's a whole talk we could go through on what exactly investors are looking for out there. Yeah, hopefully that gives you a couple of ideas there, Andre.
Thank you, Ward. I think we can go ahead and share your slides as we have 5 minutes left. You have some extra slides, I think.
I do. I wanted to share a couple of, let's see here if I can share my screen here. Yeah, I just wanted to share a couple of, you know, as far as opportunities or learning opportunities for you guys. You know, one thing to do as an entrepreneur is to read. And there's lots of resources that are out there. And these are some that you probably already know. But if you don't know Steve Blank, you should know Steve Blank. He's huge in the business model canvas and in startups. He kind of has done a lot in that area. And these are a few books that he has written. There's also the Lean Startup by Eric Ries, which is a really, again, sort of a Bible for many people that are looking to get their startups going. One book that I really like, and this goes to customer discovery, and you can read it over and over again, but it really helps you understand how to talk to customers or potential customers without talking about your product, to really understand what their problems are. So the MOM test is it's an easy read. That is a book I would definitely recommend. And then one of my favorite books is done by a group out of MIT, and that is called Disciplined Entrepreneurship. And it has a roadmap and great examples of, you know, the different steps you need to take early on, you know, from doing customer discovery to finding a beachhead market to how you find some of those sales opportunities that are out there. And so this is a book I highly recommend. They even have, with this book, there's even a workbook actually that goes along with this that you can purchase and complete. So really a great resource out there. So that was really, those were the main things. The other thing I'll throw up there real quickly is, you know, some of the things that investors look for. You know, and it has to do with the CEO. And you'll see some things there with experienced, knowledgeable, passionate, coachable, good communication skills. You've got skin in the game, whether that's sweat equity or actual money. You know, you're willing to, you know, you're really investing are putting your time into this opportunity. Your team, how strong is your team? Is the problem a hair on fire problem? And there's an investor here in Atlanta that talks about this all the time. And I always have this image to me of somebody with their hair on fire running around looking for a bucket of water to put their head in. And that's the problem, okay, that's people are looking to solve. And that's where you can find that product market fit. You know, you talk about the market, it has to be a large market, to be differentiated. There's always competition. Never say there's not competition. There's the status quo is competition, okay? The financials got to make sense. A lot of people totally forget about the financials. If you're raising money, Andre, one thing you want to do is you need to be able to tell me how much you want to raise and why. You got to raise that much. What are you going to use it for? That's where having some financials and financial projections. Investors are looking for traction. They're looking for valuations that are fair. And oftentimes they're looking to see if your IP is protected, or excuse me, your product is protected or not with patents or trade secrets. Okay, you don't have to do patents. That's a whole nother discussion that we can get into. But patents can be good. They have positives and negatives. They cost a lot of money. They take a lot of time. People can work around them, that kind of thing. So those are just a couple of other things that, you know, some other ideas that I have for you there.
Okay. Thank you, Ward. Thank you so much. We are, I think, reaching the end of this second webinar. We appreciate your time, Ward, and your insight share. And thank you for all our colleagues in Medellin that could join us today. So thank you so much. Brandy, do you like to give some final remarks?
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ward, for sharing your experience with me.
Absolutely. Happy to do it.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
See ya.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
And Vivi, I'm happy to share the slides if you like with you.
Okay.
And send those to you.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Please. Thank
All
you.
right, we'll do. All right, see ya.
Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.